Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone. So we are from group 5. Today we are going to present about module 5. It's about process, but before we go further, let me introduce you to our group. The first one we have Diva, Puspa, Ningrum. It's me with the student ID 2001-8055 as moderator and also as the first speaker. And next, for the second speaker, we have Rachmad Syamsu Duha with the student ID 1901-8167. And the last speaker, we have Syofianda Latifah with student ID 2001-8098. So in this module, we are going to explain 4 units. In the unit 1, we have function and ability. In unit 2, we are going to explain about action in sequence. In the unit 3, we are going to explain about cause and effect. And the last one, we are going to talk about method. Now, let's begin with the unit 1. It's function and ability. So as you can see here, our brain has different parts with different names and also different functions and abilities. For example, the motor area of our brain enables us to move. And now here is the description of how the brain functions. So the brain functions by complex neuronal or nerve cells circuits, and communication between neuron is both electrical and chemical and always travels from the dendrites of a neuron through its soma and out its axon to the dendrites of another neuron. The dendrites of one neuron receive signals from the axons of another neurons through chemicals known as neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters set off electrical charge in the dendrites, which then carry the signal electrochemically to the soma. The soma integrates the information, which then transmitted electrochemically down to the axon to its tip. And at the tip of the axon, there is small bubble-like structure called vesicle that release neurotransmitters that carry the signal across the synapse or gap between two neurons. And the neurons can be excitatory, which they excite an electrochemical response in the dendrite receptors, and also it can be inhibitory, where they block the response of the dendrite receptors. Next, we move to the action of bile. So the position of bile is it is secreted in the liver and it is stored in the gallbladder. And how does it reach the intestine? So bile reaches the intestine by passing down the bile duct. And we have to know that the bile is important in digestion because it breaks down fat particles in food in the intestine. Next, the function of the liver. So the liver is the largest organ in the body and has many important functions connected with the digestion, manufacture, and control of substances in the blood. When the food has been into the blood from the intestine, it is absorbed to the liver, where it is carried and removed. The certain food materials stored into glycogen in the liver, and vitamin A converted from substances in vegetable foods. The blood protein in form also manufactured in the liver. Glycogen, iron, and vitamin A, D, and B are stored in the liver. Also, the bacteria and worn out red blood cells are destroyed, and alcohol and the other harmful substances in the food are detoxified as a result of the processes in the liver. Another important function of the liver is the secretion of digestive juice, also known as food minerals, which are converted from the fatty substances in the food. Next, for the unit 2 will be explained by the second speaker, Rachmad Duha. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Diva, for giving me the time. Can we move to the next slide, please? Okay, so yeah, we're talking about action in sequence. In action in sequence, there is timeline. Before we look at the pictures, I think I need to tell you what a timeline is. So, a timeline is a visual representation of a chronological sequence of events along a drawn line that helps a viewer understand time relationship. So, if you take a look at the pictures here, this is a timeline. 6 years, 3 years, and then 3 years. For example, this is the the timeline of when we are studying in Indonesia. Uh, for example, A, studying at elementary school takes 6 years, and then B, studying at junior high school takes 3 years, and then C, lastly, studying at senior high school takes also 3 years. And if you want to include studying at university, taking your masters and others, you can put it also in the timeline. So for the next, look at the next timeline in the next picture. Before B occurs, A occurs. Jadi sebelum B itu terjadi, uh, sebelum B terjadi, A terjadi lebih terdahulu. So before B occurs, A occurs first. For example, on the first picture, before studying at junior high school, you have to study at the elementary school first. And then these are the two words that you can use before the before part, for this part. For example, the first word is before and prior to. The example is before the occurrence of B, A occurs. And then prior to the occurrence of B, A occurs. And then next part. After A has occurred, setelah A terjadi, B occurs. B baru terjadi. The words that you can use here are after and then following. After the occurrence of A, B occurs. And for the next word, following the occurrence of following the occurrence of A, B occurs. And at the last part of this picture, you can see the three words. For example, three sentences. As A occurs during the occurrence of A, while A is occurring. For example, this is in the middle of something. For example, as A occurs ketika A terjadi during the occurrence of A, di saat situasi A terjadi, and also while A is occurring ketika part A sedang terjadi, C occurs. So it means that part A and part C is occurring at the same time. At the next slide, please. So hence this is how it works. First or initially, A occurs, and then we can take one of the three words. For example, then, subsequently, and then afterwards. For example, A occurs, then A occurs. B occurs. A occurs, subsequently B occurs. And then lastly, A occurs, afterwards B occurs. And then the second part, initially A occurs, A terjadi, then there are four words that we can use here. Later, the occurs. Setelahnya D terjadi. Subsequently, D occurs. Eventually, D occurs. Akhirnya, di akhir-akhirnya D terjadi. Finally, the occurs. And then for the last one, it is A occurs. That if there are two words that you can use, meanwhile, and then at the same time. This is when both things are happening at the same time. For example, A occurs, meanwhile C occurs. A terjadi di saat C terjadi. This is the same time. At the same time is also the same as meanwhile. So yeah, well, now we're talking about procedures. So there are three, which are prior to an intraoperative procedure. So prior to an intraoperative procedures, it means that before a procedure, happens. The second one is after an intraoperative procedure. It means that after a procedure that had already taken. And the last part is the preoperative procedure includes. It means it needs to have something. So I think that's all for my part. I will give it back to the moderator. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we're going to talk about the unit 3. So for this unit, it will be explained by the third speaker, Syofianda Latifah. So the time is yours.
All right, thank you, moderator. So everyone, I'm going to explain for the unit 3. It's about cause and effect topic. So next. In this part, we're going to learn about the conjunction that's used in the form of cause and effect, which means that cause and effect, there are two variable, which is first is the cause and the second is the effect. Let's see the example and also the conjunction that can be used in the box. First is dirty instrument can cause the spread of infection. There are three conjunctions choices here. There are therefore, consequently, and for the reason, and they must be sterilized. These three conjunctions can be used to show the effect of the dirty instruments. The process that can be expressed cause and effect usually used in compound sentence. Many of the sentence shows a case and effect relation. They are connected by two types of connective. So they are so type and because type. So type is means that this is an effect type. So the things that will be explained after so type is the effect. Meanwhile, because type expression is the conjunction that shows the cause of something, so the things that will be explained using this conjunction is the cause of something, not the effect. Next. So this is the example, the using of so type. In so type, we have among others, therefore, result in, lead to, and consequently. This so type can be used to show the effect. For example, you can use lack of sleep can result in the weakness of the body. So the weakness of the body is the result. So it can be used, so type can be used to show the result of something. The other conjunction can be also used to show the result. For example, lost appetite will consequently can anemia caniosis. So consequently, anemia caniosis. Consequently, happen anemia caniosis is the effect that comes after so type conjunction itself. And the second type is because type. As I said before, because type is used to show the cause of something. So this conjunction will be used with the cause on something, usually uh, give a reason, for example, not the effect, because the effect use the so type. There are four conjunctions that can be used, for example, because of cause, and due to, yeah, and these four types. This can be used to show the reason or a cause of a case. So you can use this to show before give the result of something. Next. Okay, next part will be explained by the rest speaker. I give it back to moderator.
All right, thank you. So this is the last unit that we're going to explain, and this unit will be back to be explained by the second speaker. So Rachmad, times is yours.
Okay, thank you so much for the moderator for giving me the time once again. So lastly, we're talking about method. Can you please move to the next slide? Okay, thank you. So in this part, you guys can look at the next picture, which is the mouth-to-mouth method of expired air artificial respiration. So there are four parts here, and now let's take a look at the instruction. For it will be as follows. Firstly, you must remove any obstruction from the patient's mouth with one finger and maintain a clear airway. Secondly, press the patient's head backwards with one hand and then raise his jaw with the other. Close his nostrils with the finger and thumb. Next is take a deep breath and force the air through the patient's mouth into his lung. Number 4, allow the patient to exhale and then take another deep breath. 5, you should repeat the process for about 10 to 12 times. So these are instructions. Can we move to the next part? So that was an instruction. How about this one? What do you guys think? Is this an instruction or is this a description? From the look of it, this is a description. For example, first of all, any obstruction must be removed from the patient's mouth and clear airway must be maintained. Next, the patient's head is pressed backwards. So basically, both are almost the same, and uh, uh, we can use it for the same thing, but instruction have points. For example, number 1, number 2, number 3. But a description, you just can make it into a paragraph. Okay. Next, please. Okay. Next part. This is also an instruction in the form of a description. Now, look at this instruction, please. The application of hot compresses to the eye. The application of hot compresses to the eye to relieve pain and increase circulation. Next. This is how it becomes. First, move the patient to the side of the bed and cover her chest with a towel. You may then apply ointment to the eyelids and then cheeks to avoid drying of the skin. Moisten the compresses in a basin of hot water or the prescribed ophthalmic solution. And then next, squeeze the water out of the pad and test the temperature of the on the back of your hand. After this, place the compress over the closed eye. You should change the pads every 30 to 60 seconds for 10 to 15 minutes, and then repeat the application every 2 or 3 hours. Finally, dry the eyelids gently with cotton. So as I said before, instruction have points. For example, number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on. And description, you can just put it into words, I mean sentences, or you can also make it as a paragraph. But now we're looking at a combined instruction and description. For example, as we can see here, first, usually we find that in instruction, but now because this is a joint, or this is a combination of instruction uh, and description, this is how it becomes. Okay, next part, please. Next slide. Okay, thank you. So what can we get from these two, between instruction and a description? The fact that both of them have the same use for how to do something. Firstly, instructions are a series of detailed steps that define how something must be done. And then secondly, for description, this description of a task describes how to perform a task in general. They also outline the key steps and the order in which the steps should be taken. So even though they have almost quite the same job desk, how it is written is quite different. So I think that's all for me. I will give it back to the moderator. Thank you.
All right. So thank you for all our member groups as the speaker. And this is the end of our material. Hopefully this video is useful to increase our knowledge about the process. And thank you so much for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.